Now, here we go. The MP9, which is this is a gas blowback edition of the MP9 airsoft gun, and this one is actually made by KSC and not KWA. Now, KSC is a Japanese company. I don't know whether or not it's just a labeling or if they're two different manufacturers. I'm not sure about that, but this is a really cool gas blowback. And I really haven't paid much attention or given it much attention on videos and reviews and things of that sort. So today I decided, well, let me bring this one out. Now, these guns are really cool. I don't think that, excuse me, the actual version of the MP9 is available for the civilian market. I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong. Somebody knows, correct me. Now, as a gun owner, you might wonder why I have such enthusiasm about airsoft guns. Well, I mean, guns are cool. I like going to the range, shooting them at targets, and coming home. But the thing that's really cool about these one-to-one replica gas blowback airsoft guns is you don't just have to shoot targets with it. No, you can actually take them to skirmishes and put yourself in a high-stress environment and actually use the gun and shoot people with it. Now, I'm not promoting going out and shooting people, but with airsoft guns, that's what they're made for. So you can actually enter a skirmish and actually use this gun in a high stress situation and see how you perform with it. Now, the great thing about these types of guns is that they function exactly like the actual firearm. And that is what's really cool. Now, the AEG versions, the electric ones, they don't really. A lot of the stuff on them is all mock-up. But these gas blowbacks, they function just like the real gun. You would charge it in the same way. You would break it down in the same way. You would do your mag swaps in the same way. You have a capacity that mocks the actual capacity that you would have in the actual firearm. And the weight of it is, if it's not identical, it's very, very close. And that's for sure. These carry good solid weight with them. And so manipulating the gun would be exactly the same as you would do with the actual firearm, except you're not expelling, real rounds. You're expelling BBs. And it's so cool that you can actually use this in a combat scenario in an airsoft arena. So you're not just shooting your MP9, which you can't even get anyway. I think the only available version for the civilian market is the TP9, which is the semi-automatic version. But here we have the SMG, and which makes it a whole lot funner. So say you have yourself an actual TP9. It's extremely unlikely, although it's possible, that you would use it in a self-defense situation, but it's extremely unlikely that you would ever use that gun in a self-defense situation. It is extremely unlikely, although not impossible, that you would ever find yourself in a gun battle with that gun. Now, I don't know anyone who is a rational thinking person who actually wants to be in a gun battle. I mean, because the stakes are high, right? Just because you have a gun doesn't mean that you're going to survive the circumstances. But the great thing about these guns is that you can actually take them to a skirmish, put yourself in an environment of high stress, and actually use the gas blowback in that kind of scenario. And, you'll be in a gun battle that you can walk away from. Now, I know there's a lot of gun owners who frown at things like airsoft, because they have real guns and they're real men and they're really manly, Well, I have real guns too, but I don't feel any more manly because I have them. And these types of guns are guns that if I were to buy the TP9, I would spend a lot of money for that purchase. And say I went ahead and got one, and all I'm going to be able to do with it really is take it to a range. Best scenario is a flat range where you can run a course with it. But one thing you cannot simulate is rounds coming back at you. And that's why these airsoft guns are so great, because you can actually shoot these, they expel a projectile, and you can put yourself in that scenario where you are actually using the gun and defending yourself in an airsoft safe environment. Now, if you're the kind of guy that likes to train with your firearms, again, as I stated just a moment ago, you cannot simulate rounds coming back at you. You can't really put yourself with a real firearm in a situation where you have to acquire your targets that are moving around, and being completely aware of your surroundings and your environment and where you might have to transition and so forth. But with airsoft, you can do all that stuff. Now, someone might argue with me and say, well, I can, go to the flat range and, set up my targets and set up my cover, and I could, simulate shooting. But you're shooting at things that are sitting still and are not shooting back at you. Now, the difference with airsoft is you have real people moving around in an environment who are hunting you down, and you have to defend yourself against them. So that is the great thing about the airsoft exercise. And the great thing about the airsoft guns, most of them, like this, are one-to-one replicas that function like the actual firearm. Now, not only is airsoft a lot of fun, but is an excellent training tool. And again, it's unlikely that you would ever find yourself in a situation where you would have to use a firearm like this to defend yourself. Not impossible, but extremely unlikely. But you can get one like this, put yourself in an environment where you do need it, and you can do that every weekend or as often as you like. And you'll find that not only is the gun a great simulation for your actual, say, TP9, but it is something that you'll find as a valuable training tool. So I want to go on a little bit. I'm not going to tear this gun down or anything, but for those of you who are not airsofters, I know all you airsofters already know how this gun works, so I'm not going to talk about all that. I know you're up on that. But for those who aren't into airsoft or haven't used these replicas like the KSC MP9, I'm just going to go over some of the functions of the gun. Now, just like the real deal, you have a mag release right here. Okay. Just like the real deal, you have a charging handle right here. Now, this one is already to the rear, so as you can see, the ejection port is open there. You would just charge it here, just like you would do the actual TP9, MP9. And so now we have them round chambered. Okay. Now the breakdown, as you can look at the pins on the gun, the breakdown is identical to the actual MP9. So you break this down, you know how to break down an MP9. You can break this down, you can break your actual MP9 down. It's exactly the same. Now, the suppressor here is actually a barrel extender. It's not an actual suppressor. Of course, what would you need with an actual suppressor on an airsoft gun? But it looks the same, and it attaches exactly like you would your actual suppressor for your MP9 or TP9. You unscrew and loosen it, and I'm not going to take it off, but you do that. And after that, you can take your quick release off. And I'll take it off and show you. Okay, because I know some people just need to see. So you loosen up the suppressor, and then here, you turn this. And there you go. And you see the QD right there. And putting it back on, same way. Turn it down so that it's in that position. You tighten it back up. Okay. Just like the actual suppressor. Now let's talk red dots here. Now, of course, this is an airsoft red dot. You could put an actual red dot on there if you wanted. This will hold up to the shock of shooting this gun. These might not hold up to an actual firearm, but you'll never have to worry about the gun becoming unzeroed if you're shooting airsoft BBs. This was meant for airsoft, and it works just fine. You can put any type of red dot on there that you want. And of course, you can accessorize the guns with lights. I have a pressure switch here with the light that the battery is probably almost dead on. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to replace that battery. But so again, the gun functions just like the real thing. Now, for the gun owners who aren't really into airsoft, that's okay if you're not into airsoft. That's great. But you're missing out on some really good training if you're into training. I mean, you can always take your actual firearm and go to the range, shoot it as often as you like, and really get used to the weapon. And then you can transition to this on an airsoft field and then get used to what it's like to be in an environment where rounds are coming back at you. Airsoft is a game, but just like any type of exercise, you're not, say you're a boxer, right? And so you're training, you're sparring, you're not going 100%, you're going about, 50, 60%, because you're not actually fighting the guy, okay? Just like in any other type of combat sport. And with airsoft, it's kind of the same. What you will do that is 100% is try to not get shot in the skirmish, to use cover and concealment the best way that you can. And in real life, you can't really do that with this firearm on a flat range because you're not concerned about getting shot. And that's the big thing. And when you're not concerned about being shot, you're not going to do things in the same way on a flat range that you would do in an airsoft exercise. Because in an airsoft exercise, you do have those concerns. So you're going to have to keep yourself concealed, have cover, use cover the best way that you can, and make your target acquisitions, which are going to be moving around, and try to get yourself in the position of advantage and not in a position of disadvantage, which, those aspects, don't even come into play when you're at a flat range. Now here's a slightly used target right here. I was zeroing one of my other airsoft guns, and so all the hits that you see there are before I got it zeroed. And after I did get it zeroed, start to see my hits right here. So I'm going to use that target right now just to shoot a few rounds of this at it. And make sure I get my red dot on here. Okay, now I'm closer than this dot is zeroed at, so I'm going to be hitting lower. I got to find my sweet spot to see where my red dot is at. Okay, so all right, so I have to aim a little bit higher. Okay, as you can see, the gun is very accurate, extremely accurate. So you don't have to worry so much about, especially when you're in an arena where you're doing a close quarter battle, CQB, and you don't have wind blowing, and you're not taking long shots. So this kind of gun will serve great in an environment like that. But Samurai, you said it was an SMG. Oh yeah, it is an SMG. And just like on the actual MP9, you have your fire select right here. And if I press it this way, you'll see one dot there, which indicates it's semi-auto. And on the other side, you see the multiple dots. Get it at an angle here. Yeah, you can see the multiple dots there, and that's for full automatic. Come on, Samurai, dump a mag, why don't ya? Okay, since you've asked. So you see it shoots really nice. So I don't know if this video I'm making is for airsofters or if it's for people who haven't yet delved into the airsoft gas blowback guns yet. And if you're a gun owner and you've been somewhat curious and maybe you would like to put yourself in an environment where you can do training and actually get to shoot your weapon or use the weapon like you would in a real life scenario, maybe it's for you. So anyway, that's the KSC MP9, and it's a really, really cool airsoft gun. I love it, and I hope you like it too. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. We're going to wrap this up right now. Don't forget to like and subscribe.